What's up, guys? So today we've got the LG Ultra Gear. The model number for this one is the 34GK950F. I believe it's the -B. I'm not sure why it doesn't say that there. But this is a ultra-wide 3440 by 1440 resolution Nano-IPS coating, 144 Hertz with HDR 400. The reason we're doing this is the two Acer that I returned the first Acer that I had received that I reviewed the other day because the backlight bleed was just unacceptable. Well, the replacement I got was even worse. It was in all four corners and it was not even usable in my opinion. So I gave up on Acer and we're trying this one, which was another monitor I had been kind of eyeing anyway. But this is, like I say, got all the bells and whistles. This is FreeSync 2 also, so I can be able to do FreeSync and HDR at the same time. My cat approves of the box so far. He probably wants to play in it. But that said, I'll get this opened up here a little bit. I'm actually just home on lunch right now. I came home to bring the delivery inside. I didn't want it sitting out so someone could walk off with it. But I will get this thing opened up and we'll start investigating the contents and try her out as soon as possible. Stay tuned. Alrighty, I'm home from work and we've got the box open. We're going to start going ahead and see what they've included in this package. If the air conditioning in the background is kind of loud, I apologize, but it's been in the 90s plus lately and it's just going to get hotter this weekend, so it's going to be running. What can I tell you? So we've got the display quality assurance report, although Acer gave me two of those and both those monitors were crap, so hopefully LG's is better. I've had LG panels in the past though and they've always been good, so we'll see. A handling guide. Oh, what does it say, Toothless? He's going to inspect things for us. Good old cat. Accessory box. That's kind of heavy. Got some things in there. I'm going to have to cut that open with a knife or something, so I'll come back to that. We'll see what's in there. This is like a surprisingly thin box. Like those Acers came in really big, fat, heavy boxes, and those are 27 inches. This is 34 inches, and it's curved, and they fit it in a fairly slim package, so it's kind of interesting how they've done that. There's something in here, I don't know what it is. Tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and set the phone down. I'll get that accessory box open and get whatever that is out, and we'll be right back. Apparently that is part of the physical stand, and it just kind of pushes that up as you try to drag it out. I think you have to take this out first, and then you can get the stand out from beneath. It's sort of weird. And then there's the foot. This will probably be the same scenario as the Acers were, and then I'm gonna probably have to put it on a different stand if I want to put it on what I've had it on. Otherwise I'll have to find something else to set it on. But anyways, this is the accessory box. We've got a USB hub cable. This looks like probably something that fits around like the neck or the back or of the foot or of the stand somewhere, I'm guessing. So it looks like this bag is completely empty. Yeah. Oh wait, I lied. There's some kind of little clip inside. I'm not sure what that's for. I guess I'll have to read the instructions. Probably not really necessary to using the monitor. Power cable and power brick. So usual stuff there. And display port and one HDMI. This, unlike the Acer, does not need two cables to actually achieve the maximum refresh rate or any of the other features. It should work with a single DP cable. My understanding, over HDMI, I don't think this has, I think it has 2.0 ports, but I don't think they can handle the full 3440 by 1440 with 144 Hertz and HDR and FreeSync. I'm pretty sure you have to use DisplayPort for any of that. So this looks like a little walkthrough pamphlet, or maybe it's just like an itinerary that tells you what came in the case or the box, whatever. And this is some kind of electronic guarantee, so it's a warranty booklet, some kind. There's a CD in here. I wonder what's on that. Oh, it's got the owner's manual PDF probably on there. That's interesting that they include that in a disc. You can just download that from their site. Seems like that would save them a little money to not bother with that, but a nice little included thing. And something about registering your product. So that's what we've got in there. Next up, I guess I'll go ahead and get this foam out and we'll get the display out of the box and try to set it up. Be right back. Alright, so I've got the display out of the box, laying it on the little bag that it came in, the sleeve or whatever, and you can see the different connectivity we have. It does obviously support VESA mounting. All you got to do is remove these screws and you can probably put in pretty much any kind of standard VESA mount. So that's cool if you want to use your own mounting arm, or again, like I've got this stand over here. If I wanted to use that on there, I can tell it would already fit. I just have to use the screws that it came with, so that's great. We've got our connectivity. We've got 2 HDMI ports and a DisplayPort input, our super speed USB 3.0 hub input port, and then the 2 output for USB 3.0. It looks like the top one might be considered a charging port if you were so desired. You got a headphone jack, so if you did audio over HDMI and then put it in a headphone, you could connect it here and you would be able to use the audio passed by your GPU, and then you have your DC input, so that's cool. And then we've got, I always liked it when these are right on the back like this instead of on the bottom somewhere weird. So what you're gonna do is just like look in behind it and plug it right in. You don't gotta try to like fiddle around on the bottom with lining up a cable head or something. So this is the stand. It looks like it just probably, I'm gonna guess that it clicks right in, and it does. Easy peasy. It looks like you can probably turn it. I'm not really fiddling with that, but it looks like you can. And then I think this kind of functions like if you've ever put together an office chair. It kind of has that cushiony spring feel. I think it can probably be compressed with enough weight on it because the monitor is reasonably heavy, and you could push it down or have it lift up. I don't know how much it could necessarily be turned because, I mean, you're not going to turn this into portrait mode probably on this stand. Maybe it's possible, but I don't know why you really want to anyway, especially because it's curved. And then there's like a little button here that I think you just, yeah, you push that and you can take this right back out. So that's easy enough. And then for the bottom, it looks like, as you can see, there's a point here with a screw connection, and that will go right into here on the foot. And on the bottom, it's got one of these little screws that you can just do this with, and you can turn it without a screwdriver, and then when it's done, you lock it back down. It does look like it would support a larger Phillips head, or I'm sorry, a flat head, if you were to need it, if you really wanted to tighten it up further, but I think by hand would be more than sufficient. So that's cool. This is easy enough to set up. Nothing really complicated about putting it together. It's pretty much easy peasy. Give me a minute here and we'll get it fired up after I get everything finished and connected. 1 second. Alright guys, this thing is like, I mean, it probably looks like looking at the phone, I can see that it may look like there's an absolutely tiny little bit of IPS glow on this thing, but to the naked eye, no. I mean, it's like absolutely flawless compared to the other two that I had. I mean, the other two, it was like this corner was bleeding all over the place, and there was like a big point right here, and then there was a bunch over here, and then there was a bit down in each of these corners. And that second one I got, the first one, it was just up in these corners. But good God, this is way better. Way better. Okay, so far I'm pretty pleased with the way things are going. I got hooked up to a single DisplayPort cable, and bring up the settings here. You can see full 144 hertz at 3440 by 1440, 10-bit, full RGB, full output, dynamic range. No need to fiddle with that or reduce anything. So that's awesome. So I guess I should show you guys some of the settings. There isn't a whole lot of settings on this, surprisingly. It's kind of, well, I shouldn't say a whole lot, but it's kind of weird. Like the Acer let you kind of spell out a lot of stuff. There's one switch on it, that's it. You control everything with this one little button down here. Go into your settings, and then over here we've got, I don't know how well that's legible. It says game mode. It's out, there we go. Okay, game mode, sorry. This is being recorded with my phone, so it is what it is. But game mode, game adjust, etc. But we've got, these are just like color presets. Vivid, reader, it says RTS, first person shooter, gamer 1 and gamer 2. I don't really know what those are supposed to do other than, like, again, I feel like they're just color presets. So it will not let me select sRGB. I think that's because I have the HDR setting turned on, but I'll select vivid, I guess. Game adjust lets you turn on, so you can't turn on the 1 millisecond blur reduction and FreeSync at the same time. Maybe you can do basic on that at the same time. I haven't tried that. Let's fiddle with that. But if I have extended on, it was not letting me do both. So let's see. Let's see if both will work. No, see, it auto turns off FreeSync whenever you enable that. Now it says 120 hertz here, but it's letting me enable a full 144 in Windows. And there's no option in here that I found to actually, change it to like overclock in here. Oh wait, now it is letting me do it. That must be part of the extended range. Okay, there you go. You can enable a crosshair if you want. I never do that kind of thing, but it is an option. So you could have it like in the center of your screen for like a game that doesn't have it necessarily. That way you could have an easier time of aiming, sort of like a cheat. Picture adjust. You can change the brightness. Right now, I think most of that stuff is preset if you have like HDR enabled, for example. Where is the HDR setting? I had that earlier. Actually, I don't even know if there was one in here. It seems like there was an HDR color setting. Give me a minute, I'll come right back. I got somebody at the door, I gotta answer that. I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, so strangely enough, HDR actually changes in the menu depending on whether or not you turn it on in Windows. Or I guess it's like if it's receiving, if it considers it an HDR signal. See, now it turned itself on. So let's revert that back off. The other thing, yeah, it's annoying, I gotta turn it back on, sorry. So if you change these different modes here, so like you have an HDR effect, or you can have actual HDR when you turn it on in Windows, one or the other. But you can change these and you can see the response time changes based on what setting you select here. So there you have that. Alright. I guess what I'll do is hold on, did it just say FreeSync was turned off again? No, never mind. That's that 1 millisecond. Okay, I guess I'll load up a game and we'll just see how it looks and how well the FreeSync is working and how the HDR effect looks. I don't know how well that'll translate to recording it with the phone, but that's the best I can do, so give me 1 sec. Alright, I've got Far Cry 5 loaded up here because it supports HDR. I don't know... somebody's shouting. I don't know if I really think HDR works that well in Windows still, and maybe it's just certain games, but like when you shut it off, it just seems like the game looks better, or it's a lot brighter and the colors are brighter. Like right now, I don't know, like I can give you I'll take a second here and then I'll shut it off and you can see the difference, but this is with HDR on, it says, and it just feels like the colors are a little bit dingy and washed out. Like, in Windows 10 when you enable HDR and like you're in the desktop, it always has that washed out look, but when you load up games, it's like it usually works fine. You have to turn it on if you want to watch like HDR videos on YouTube. Now if I go watch an HDR video on YouTube right now, it works fine, but it just seems like when I load games, they don't look as good. I'm going to pause for a second, and then when I resume, I'll have disabled HDR and you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, now HDR is off. Now again, like doing a back and forth comparison, like a side by side probably would be beneficial, but I mean, it's better. It's better with HDR off. Like the darks are darker, the light looks better. It's almost like it works in reverse. Like I had that same problem when Mass Effect Andromeda, when I first got that, and it was supposed to support HDR, and doesn't work correctly in Windows, and never has since I've owned it. But it's like things look better with it off than they do with it on. I don't know what to think about that. But I don't think that's anything to do with the monitor. I think that's everything to do with Windows and their somewhat shoddy implementation of HDR, where it comes and goes. They just did a big update for Windows the other day. It's possible maybe it had a negative effect on it. One thing too is well, they probably missed it, but there's like a little pop-up up in the right hand corner that the monitor is doing. Whenever it detects an HDR signal, it will pop up a little bubble up there that says HDR is enabled. Like I'm going to shut it off in Windows. You can see the difference again. Turn that off, and suddenly everything is brighter and more colorful. And again, that's Windows desktop, but it just seems like the games are not taking advantage of HDR, and in fact they're doing, like I say, kind of a they're just kind of dingy and washed out looking. But that said, the monitor is doing what it's supposed to do. It runs at 144 hertz. FreeSync is clearly working in any games I've tested it in. They're very smooth. There's no tearing, etc. And it feels like the input lag is pretty minimal, if any. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. There is a little backlight bleed on this thing. Like now that it's warmed up, I mean, it's not enough that I'm going to complain about it. But like I've noticed it in the corners just a little bit. You probably can't see it too well on the phone. Actually, maybe I'm just becoming too sensitive to that sort of thing after the last two monitors I had. I just noticed it a little bit up in this corner. Like you can't even, well, it depends on the angle that I hold the phone at to it too, and it probably has something to do with the fact that I'm sitting a little ways away from the monitor. It's like anything else. Like when you look at it from a funny angle, if you sit at it, from a different distance, it can appear a little bit different. But overall, I would recommend this monitor for anybody who wants an ultrawide. It definitely has all the nice feature sets. It is a little bit pricey. This was a little bit more than even the Acer was. The Acer had been like 800-ish, and this was after taxes and everything. It was a little over $1,000. So definitely not inexpensive. And this is still the FreeSync 2 monitor. This is not the G-Sync. I mean, it works on NVIDIA cards. It's G-Sync compatible, but it is not actually a G-Sync monitor. I think the ones that LG makes of those are even a little bit more expensive. It might be 11 or 1,200 bucks without, prior to taxes. So bear that in mind. But if anybody has any questions, ask them in the comment section below. Otherwise, appreciate you guys watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I'll continue to attempt to put out more content of this nature in the near future. Thanks, and have a great one. Later.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.